With this blues guitar soloing lesson, we'll take the first step to learn how to solo over the complete fretboard by showing how to construct the blues scale from scratch to cover the fretboard. Along with fretboard diagrams and some music theory review, we'll cover it all with the step-by-step approach. Now, this lesson will work well for those who already have learned a few blues riffs within the standard pentatonic minor or blues box pattern. What I mean by that, it's this pattern. And a lot of people learn it in A initially, that's why I'm playing right now. Some throw in an extra note. Those are both legitimate ways to get introduced to the blues, but if you already have this foundation down, we've done that with previous lessons. You might be curious now to start going to other areas of the fretboard, to start navigating around to play other riffs along other fret positions. And that's exactly what we're going to do here, is we're going to take that first step, and that involves scale construction. And when it comes to learning how to solo over the complete fretboard, there are a lot of approaches you can use. And probably the most popular approach is to memorize 5 consecutive box patterns or connected box patterns. But what I personally prefer, what I think is the best approach to really learn how to navigate over the fretboard, is to take a blank fretboard from scratch and to actually construct the blues scale one note at a time to cover the complete fretboard. And the best analogy I can make on this, it's like an auto mechanic. If you have an auto mechanic who can take an engine apart one piece at a time and then put the whole thing back together, that mechanic probably has a better idea of how everything runs with that engine. Same thing goes with knowing how to construct the blues scale from scratch. In the long run, if you know how all these box patterns are constructed, how they come together, it's simply going to help you navigate, in other words, solo and improvise over the complete fretboard. On guitar, everything repeats every 12 frets. So when it comes to soloing over the complete fretboard, you really only need to know a span, how to navigate a span of 12 frets, because again, everything will repeat another 12 frets higher or lower. With the previous box pattern we showed you, with the A blues box pattern, well, you may already have a span of that 12. You have a span now of 3 frets out of that 12. Let's go to another example, another key here, the key of E blues. So we're going to shift that box pattern down to the open fret position. There's open E blues, but you can play the exact same thing up at the 12th fret. So what we're primarily focused on, if you have the standard box pattern down, and now we verified that the pattern repeats, what we're really concerned about with this lesson will be to focus on that empty 9-fret span between the standard box pattern that repeats. Now, to construct the blues scale from scratch, it's important to know how different approaches can be used to play a scale. For example, that standard pentatonic minor box pattern, or the blues box pattern, uses a horizontal approach to play strings going across, to play the scale going across the 6 strings. Now, with the vertical approach, you can play a scale going up and down 1 string. And the first step with using a vertical approach is to understand how intervals work. Intervals, which are also known as steps, describe the distance between 2 notes. And on guitar, these distances are measured by frets. So let's go to A, for example, on that top string 5th fret. From that A note, a half step is a distance of 1 fret, or a span of 1 fret. A whole step is a distance or span of 2 frets. And a minor third interval is a distance or span of 3 frets. If we shifted down to E, a half step, a whole step, a minor third step. Now, steps and intervals can be arranged into various interval patterns. And interval patterns, those are the foundation or building blocks that all chords and scales are derived from. And since we're focused on blues with this lesson, we're going to use the pentatonic minor interval pattern. And that pattern is minor third, whole, minor third, and whole. Or minor third step, whole step, minor third step, whole step. Let's apply that to E blues. We're going to start with the E note, that top string open. and we're going to use a sort of a stepladder approach to playing this interval pattern. Now, from here we do a minor third interval. In this case, it's a span of 3 frets, so that would be 0, 3. Now, keeping our finger on that 3rd fret, we're going to go a whole step from there to 3, 5. And that's what I meant by a stepladder approach rather than one note at a time. Let's play it from the beginning. 0, 3, 3, 5. Now, with that stepladder approach, from that 5th fret, we shift up. We're going to do another whole step. Let's back it up, put it together. 0, 3, 3, 5, 5, 7, or better yet, let's use the interval. Minor third, whole step, another whole step, and then with that stepladder approach, we put our first finger on that last note we played, the 7th fret. Now we're going to use the pinky finger for the minor third step. That's going to be 7, 10, or a minor third interval. And then we're going to finish with a whole step. So let's apply the stepladder approach. Minor third, then a whole step, another whole step, a minor third step, and a whole step. And let's do it one more time. A little faster. Now, even though this is primarily a technical lesson involving scale construction, let's have a little fun and play a riff with this vertical approach that we just covered in E. And what we're going to do, we're going to add some hammer and pull-off combinations. And here's what I mean. We're going to start on that with that minor third interval on that 3rd fret with our first finger down on that 3rd string. Then we're going to let go of that 0, 3, 0 on that hammer pull-off. But starting with that 3rd fret. So, and then, again, this sort of stepladder approach, we're going to go to that whole step between the 3rd and the 5th fret. Same deal where we pluck the higher note and then a hammer pull off following that. So I'll do that one again. So playing it from the beginning. And we're going to move up a whole step again. Same deal between the 7th and 5th frets. Let's put it together again. And then we're going to use that pinky finger for the minor third interval. 10th fret, hammer pull off between 7 and 10. And then we're going to end it just with the 10, 12 on that top string. Let's do a slow walkthrough. A little faster. Now, from any E root note, you can play the same interval pattern on any string. If we were to go to the 4th string 2nd fret, for example, that's an E note right there. Same interval pattern applies. Minor third, whole step, minor third, whole step. And if we apply that riff, the minor third, whole step, minor third, whole step interval pattern is universal, meaning it can be applied to any key on guitar. So, for example, those same riffs we played in E blues can also be played in F blues by simply shifting everything up 1 fret. So if we went from the open to the 1st fret, same interval pattern applies. Minor third, whole step, minor third, whole step. Same riff would apply as well. And also this interval pattern, you could look at it, the pentatonic minor interval pattern, you can look at it as essentially the DNA code for blues. Meaning, if you know how to play the same interval pattern on another instrument, piano for example, you are essentially playing blues if you follow the same pentatonic minor interval pattern. Next, we're going to go back to the original E blues interval pattern, and instead of playing it with a stepladder approach, we're going to play the notes one at a time in their exact chronological order. And here's how it'll sound. Starting with E, we've got the minor third, a whole step, a minor third, and a whole step. Now I have a question for you. How many different letter notes do we actually play with this interval pattern? I'll play it again. Correct answer as far as total letter notes, if you want to pause the video to think about it, do it now. But the correct answer is actually 5 different letter notes. We played 6 total notes, but we started with the E note and we ended with the root E as well. So the pentatonic minor scale consists of 5 different notes. And if you didn't know this, it makes sense now. Pent, the prefix pent means 5. Minor means a scale or a chord with a minor third interval to start from the root. So from that root, we have that minor third interval. So pentatonic minor actually describes what's going on with the scale. Other scales, such as the major and minor scales, those are 7-note scales. Those are referred to as diatonic scales. But with this vertical approach, you can see now why it's called the pentatonic minor scale. Now, earlier I mentioned about the pentatonic minor interval pattern being the DNA code for playing the blues. And we can use this DNA code to construct the blues scale to cover the complete fretboard. And if you have the interval pattern down, which at this point you should have it down pretty well, then it's not too difficult. There's not too much to actually complete this or construct the complete fretboard because it only involves 3 steps. You can follow the video, but on the video description I do have a link, a lesson plan that you can actually print out a page of a blank fretboard if you happen to have access to blank fretboards. That'll come in real handy at this point because you could actually work along with me or do it on your own. But regardless, let's start with step 1. We're going to construct the E blues scale over the whole fretboard. And step 1 is on the blank fretboard, you need to locate an E note on every string. So I've already done that on what we see here on the example. I located E notes on every string and simply drew a circle. I put an E, but we're really not going to focus on their notes too much, but we will focus on the E root note. That is step 1. Step 2, from each E note on each string, we're going to use the pentatonic minor interval pattern, minor third, whole, minor third, whole, to construct notes going up each string. All you need to do is just draw in empty circles to represent these notes. We don't care about the letter notes or the degrees right now. Again, looking at this example, I did that on the 2nd string, and we'll show you how it looks here with an actual guitar. On the 2nd string, that E note is on the 2nd string 5th fret. Again, applying the interval pattern. A minor third, if we were drawing it out on the fretboard, we would draw just a circle there. A whole step, draw a circle. Another whole step, draw a circle. Now we're only concerned with going up to the 12th fret. Remember, everything repeats every 12 frets. So at that point, when you reach the 12th fret, you are done with step 2. Now step 3 is, we need to still complete this 2nd string, but we need to figure out the area below the root note. And how you do that is you reverse the pentatonic minor interval pattern. And that's going to be whole, minor third, whole, minor third. And you need to do that to construct the notes going down each string. So from that E note, 2nd string 5th fret, reversing the interval pattern a whole step. Simply draw a circle there. Then a minor third. One key with this exercise or with this construction is you need to take into consideration the open strings. they count. So if it's going to be 0, which in this case it is, again, starting from E, we got the whole step, we got a minor third, 3 minus 0, 0. You would draw a circle along the open fret position, and you can see that on the diagram here. So what we have now is we introduce you to the 3 steps to construct all the notes from the pentatonic or blues scale, the pentatonic minor or blues scale over the whole fretboard. If you want, pause the video. You can work this on your own and complete the E blues scale. There are also, if you see here, 2 other blank fretboards. This method, this construction method, it's universal as well. You can construct other keys, say for example A or B. You can try that as well. It's up to you. You can just simply go to the next clip and see how the whole thing works out, or you can work on the construction on your own. But you can try E. If you make mistakes in E, try it again on the other fretboards. Or if you feel pretty confident, you can try the key of A and the key of B blues, because those are going to come up in the next clip, sort of like the answer key is coming up in the next clip. Now here's an example of the complete pentatonic minor pattern in E blues. And this is essentially the blueprint for the pentatonic minor scale, and it covers a span of 12 frets and then repeats. And you can see that with E blues, we have notes or circles along the open fret position, all 6 strings, and then 12 frets higher, same notes along all 6 strings. And next now we're going to compare the complete pentatonic minor pattern from E to A and B. And the thing is, this pattern shifts based on the key. So regarding E, when we had all of the notes along the open position, well in A, the pattern shifts up. We'll see all of the notes along the 5th fret position. In fact, you'll also see the box pattern. If you're familiar with the box pattern, the A standard box pattern is along the 5th fret. E is along the open fret position. And finally, if we look at B, that's just 2 frets higher than A, so everything shifts up. You have all 6 strings included with circles on those strings, and the same box pattern except along the 7th fret. Now, constructing and observing this pattern, that is only the first step. It's a big accomplishment, and by no means do we expect you to be able to have the fretboard mastered. Just observing and knowing how everything comes together, that's going to help down the road when it comes to soloing and navigating along with this pattern. And that's what we're going to do with upcoming lessons. We're going to introduce new riffs and approaches derived from the pattern. And to keep updated on that, you want to subscribe for new blues soloing video releases. You can also check out my blues guitar lessons playlist for other blues soloing lessons.